and hold accountable each and every one of the actors in our political system.
My eyes are my tool. My camera is an extension of that tool. And while my camera allows me to tell stories, my eyes allow me to see them. And when I say that, I don't mean just like witness, but to be a part of. If anything, my camera allows me to have a shield from what's actually happening. It's still my eyes that go home and have to replay all these moments that allow me to edit the photos as they were actually seen.
Because who's been telling the stories of our protests for so long? The language is always like looters and chaos and anger and rage. Yes, we are angry and we have a right to our righteous rage. But what doesn't get told enough is how much love is on the ground.
And there's so much of it.
So much of it.
I am truly walking in my purpose right now. And I don't think there's a joy greater than this.
You've literally captured protest summer in the pandemic and the next chapter of the revolution through your lens. Why was it so important to you? And did you know on July 4th that it was going to lead to this moment?
Around this time last year, I started an artist residency with Harvard Art Lab. And I knew that I wanted to tell Black history through video and photo. And me documenting the protests really started May 31st, where I was exhausted and angry and I was stuck inside for so long. And I hit the streets that day and I cried the whole time. And I realized that if I didn't document these stories, that people who didn't look like me would document these stories and tell tales of looters and aggressive people in the streets, and we wouldn't truly understand where that aggression came from. It's titled How Many of Us? Because it really, that whole day made me question how many of us need to be doing this for people to start to pay attention. But the image, it brought me a lot of joy to create. This is, I'm so proud of this image. I initially wasn't going to use the image. I didn't necessarily want to feel like I was taking advantage of this woman. It's my favorite portrait I've ever seen of her.
It's my favorite.
Every time I've been on the ground since then, I've been documenting for this purpose, to make sure that our children and their children's children and their children's children will be able to see images of Black people in power.
One of the things that sticks with me in my work as a Black journalist, but also when I see what you've done all summer long, the gatekeepers have always been white. When you tell Black and brown stories through that lens, through the white lens, an erosion happens. Even the most well-meaning white person will never tell our stories how we tell our stories. Yep. To have photographers on the ground capturing those pictures, they look different. They feel different. It's like when you see Gordon Parks' work of us. It's hard not to be stirred in your soul.
I've been so frustrated on the ground because I see a lot of, I'm going to name what it is, right? I see a lot of white press in the faces of my friends who I consider family, being very invasive, ruining moments that are just community moments, people reaching out to each other and loving one another, or posing for one another, but for personal reasons, right? Or if a Black photographer goes to take something, I've had many times white press photographers reach over my shoulder and take the same picture. I am so sick of the story being told with the same image with different intent. The erosion of our history it keeps me up at night. It's what keeps me editing till 3 a.m. Typically, people are getting them off of my Instagram. I think that my platform allows people to see themselves through the work that I post. And it rings true to them instead of feeling like, who is this white person talking about what happened in the situation when that's not what happened at all.
Well, and it's not their lived experience.
No.
So I think it creates a different dynamic when you try to tell someone what racism looks like or what it feels like or what oppression feels like when it's not something that you're actually feeling.
It's treated like a spectacle.
The spectacle of it all. You know, I have to tell you, like, I was at the March on Washington, and as I was leaving that afternoon, all I kept thinking is, I can't wait to see what OJ shot.
Yeah.
Like, I was incredibly excited to, like, log on to Instagram and see what it is you saw. And I think a lot of us feel that way. I mean, the whole Afro-punk audience and Black Instagram, I think, is we're logging on like, what's OJ got for us?
August 28th is a special day. August 28th is when Martin Luther King gave the famous I Had a Dream speech. August 28th is when Emmett Till was lynched. August 28th is when Barack Obama first accepted the presidential nomination from the DNC. For Beautiful Resistance New England, we wanted to make sure we were here to represent Boston, to represent Black people and peoples of the diaspora everywhere.
There's no one person this is for. There are people of all races, creeds, genders, ethnicities, sexes, whatever here, because they believe in this civil rights and human rights issue. And that's what it is. It's not political, it's an apolitical issue. It is a human rights issue, and we need to get to the bottom of it and figure it out.
Black journalists, for their entire careers, have always been told they can't march.
Wild.
You know, it's a violation if you march. It's an ethical quandary if you march. You know, how could you be fair and balanced? Yeah. And my attitude is, I can have this job. I can lose this job. I can quit this job. I can retire out of this job. I can walk in any room and just be my Black self, and no one will ever know I'm a journalist. Yeah. But I will always be my Black self.
Let's go, yes.
So I'm never not going to protest for our lives. 4th of July, I'd go out with some friends to march, and I wasn't there to write. I was like, I'm not here to tell this story. I'm here, I'm living this. This is my life too. We marched along the music truck. So I didn't just march, I danced. I danced for like 5 miles that day.
Same, yeah.
And,
I have goosebumps.
Yeah, and Ariel gave me a mask, so I wore Breonna Taylor's face on my face. I get on Instagram one day, and somebody, Ariel tags me, and there's a picture of that moment. And it's you caught that moment. And now here we are.
Yeah.
And I walk into your show, and it's one of the pictures here in the show.
I saw who I didn't know was you at the time walk past the truck with the mask on and the face and the fist up. And I took that image and I put my camera down for almost the rest of the day. I didn't realize this image of you and Breonna almost merging. This power, it was everything that I was feeling that I couldn't articulate. And to me, there's this image is like Breonna's all of us. We could have all been Breonna. And then to have these beautiful hands reaching out to you like, come love on us. We love you. Will stick with me for the rest of my life. And it definitely is one of my favorite images I've ever taken. And not because, right, I shoot so many different things. I shoot fashion things. I shoot all different types of news stories, but because it's such an intimate portrait of right now. It is the history of right now, right?
So you're going to take these images at this art show, but you're also going to make a documentary. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
The history of right now is the telling of the civil rights era, well, I guess the civil rights movement of Boston for Black people, to Black people, for all people. And the idea is for me to fundraise enough, to apply to grants enough, where I'll be able to hire a majority Black Bostonian team to tell these stories. I am so sick of watching documentaries that are told by old white men, and I'm so sick of watching documentaries that don't accurately tell these stories from the perspective of the communities that are actively experiencing them. I am so grateful for Boston. Boston has saved my life many, many times. And every time I create something and it's Boston focused, it's my love letter back to this community. I never for once forget that I'm a visitor and I've been welcomed with open arms. So I want to walk through Roxbury and Dorchester and Lower Roxbury and talk to these people about the history that they've experienced. But when we talk about the current, it's really about documenting our future past, right? We're living it right now, but it's so important to understand how it will be told in the future.
And who will be telling it?
And who will be telling it, right?
How would you define the power of Black beauty and Black joy?
Someone once said to me, there are no ugly Black people. And when I first heard that, I was like, well, somebody's got to be ugly. But I didn't think about it. I didn't really comprehend the fact that all Black people are beautiful. And it's so much deeper than the way you look, but it's the culture. It's the way you carry yourself. It's your ancestors. It's everything. And I carry that with me everywhere. Absolutely everywhere.
Next time on A Beautiful Resistance.
Ballroom meeting TV gets whitewashed, and this time it didn't. I felt like Legendary just put a light on each and every stigma, all colors aboard, you know.